Welcome back to the Virtual Realms YouTube channel. I'm Ranger1. We're still hanging out at the hidden lake on the island map. And as many of you know, since this is a popular destination, especially for new players in the game, there is a small set of ruins at one of the main entrances into the main hidden lake area. Well, I have a thing for rebuilding ruins, and it's pretty basic. So I'm not sure how elaborate that we're going to get with it, but it's always struck me as kind of a, well, I don't know, a garrison, perhaps a watch post or a gatekeeper's enclosure. Well, we're gonna see if we can rebuild it and turn it into something that suits that purpose in a more modern fashion, still incorporating elements of the ruin itself into the build, just to give it a little bit of character. Let's go take a look at the location. Like many of the ruins in the Ark, there's not a lot left here, just a couple of ruins and some pillars. This is the entrance into the hidden lake area that I was talking about. It's one of three. It's a little more open now than it used to be. My Bronto, Wilma, runs a patrol through there. This rock is a bit of an impediment. We'll remove that. And in this corner, there's an explorer's chest. So be kind if you build here and leave a way for people to still be able to get to that. Yeah, it's got a good view of the lake itself, so that's just fine. And that wall over there, it looks to me like either it was a set of gates or more likely some type of windows, perhaps barred in the ancient past. We can do better than that now. We're going to modernize this a bit and still leave that feature intact. That'll be the main thing that I worry about leaving as part of this build. There are some piles of rubble here and there on the floor, and a lot of it can't be removed, so the floor in this place is going to have to be a little bit elevated above ground level, which is okay because the grass is a little tall here too. And that way it'll look more like a finished floor without bits and pieces poking through all over the place. I'm going to do this build in creative mode, so we're going to rough everything in stone first, and then once we're done with the general outline, we'll fill in with all the details and updated touches that we want to include. Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome back. The first stage of the build is now complete. We've got everything roughed in and I have a better idea of what direction I want to head in. It's all been done with Structures Plus, and Collisions has of course been turned off. That's pretty invaluable when trying to build in a ruin. I can already tell there are going to be some significant changes I'm going to have to make. Right now everything's pretty bland. Number one, the stone rail behind me is going to have to go. It's not happening. I've got some rough spots in the roof that I need to smooth out, although I think I'll leave it structures plus the wooden roof, just to tie everything together nicely. The windows I've got in place also with a few metal cross beams just to make sure that you're aware that there are reinforced windows there. It makes it look a lot more secure. And I was able to leave the portions of the ruin exposed that I wanted to make sure were out there and obvious to the eye as you walked up to the build. I think as we proceed from this point, I'm going to switch over to the Ozocraft mod. I'm going to use a lot of their wood in redoing major portions of this structure. And for the plans that I'm slowly coalescing in my mind as to what to do next with it, the Ozocraft mod has some scaffolding pieces that'll be perfect, I think. First things first, we're going to remove and redo part of this stairway heading up to the roof. I've decided I'm going to go ahead and add a second floor here. It'll be easy to do with Ozocraft. We'll just, whoa, assuming I can put things where I want them to go. We'll use Ozocraft and we'll put this floor in right here. I'm going to make it a multi-level with a couple of balcony overlooks. Hopefully it'll turn out the way I want it to. And these Ozocraft pieces have such a great wood texture to them. It's going to add a lot of warmth and vibrancy to this build. While I'm doing this, I'm not going to worry about cutting through these pillars here. I think it looks like they're supporting the floor in certain places, and the tops that are left above the floor level, well, I think maybe I can turn them into something decorative. Maybe, I don't know, planters. We'll see how it turns out. I need to make a little room here. I think I'm going to make the staircase coming up from the first floor to the second double wide, just to give it a little bit of grandeur. Although I'm going to leave it the S Plus wooden stairway for right now. I don't want to get too carried away and make it too polished looking in here. Well, we may change it later, you never know. Next, we're going to rip out the stone walls here and put in its place some combination of wood and glass. I'll have to play with that a little bit and see what looks best for me. We're only doing that up here on the second floor. We'll leave the rear wall stone because it's our main line of defense against the terrors of the outside world. And with those new walls pretty much in place, I'm going to take this opportunity to fix a few alignment problems with the roof and replace that stone railing with this wooden one instead. I think it'll kind of tie the build together and give it a much cleaner look. You know, while I'm at it, I've been looking for a place to try out these tiny little balconies that come in Eco's RP Decor mod. They're not even quite a full wall width wide, which makes placing them a little difficult. But I'm going to work at it until I find a way to incorporate them one way or the other on the front of this build. Okay, I've finally made my decision on how I want to handle the glass placement on this side of the build. I'm going to go with the glass wall portion right in the center of everything with a half wall above and a half wall below. And I always like that look. Oh, but I seem to have a little alignment problem here. Something is just slightly off. I had a few tricky spots where the ruins came up through the floor. It threw things off slightly. Well, I'm not going to waste time going back and forth with trying to reposition and replace walls. Instead, I'm going to go with these corner pillars from the Ozocraft mod. I think it'll take care of the problem nicely and, well, give a more robust look to this wall anyway. That'll work. I apologize if this is a little patched together feeling. I reported the main part of this video and then am going back through and just recording small bits and pieces as I solve certain key points of the problems with this build. I hope you don't mind it being put together this way. I just didn't want it to turn into a half an hour or 45-minute video for this simple build. One thing that I have been debating is whether or not I want to use a wall or a gate to seal off this entrance completely from the rest of the hidden lake area. But I think, at least for the moment, I've decided against that. I'm going to have, well, plenty of wild creatures herbivores spawning in that should be able to deal with any wandering predators. And I'll have my own tames and, as usual, a lot of unclaimed dinosaurs roaming around as well. And if they do get into trouble, from here I should be able to keep an eye on the surrounding area and intervene if necessary. All in all, it's a pretty cool view, and I'd hate to mess that up. In fact, it's such a cool spot and such a good view, I think we're going to stick with that Watchtower theme. And now that everything else is more or less in place, that means I need to add something specific to the roof. Something I've been toying around with in the back of my mind. Let me see what I can put together. I'll bring you back in just a minute. And we're back. My wish is to put a watchtower up here on the roof using these Ozocraft scaffolding pieces, but the problem is they're more or less foundations. They don't want to stick to the ceiling pieces up there, but they are designed to have ceilings on top of them, so if I simply go downstairs, I can stick them to the ceiling. And once I have them in place down here, I can go ahead and freely place them anywhere I need to, directly above on the roof. Let's just get everything lined up right here. Okay, see, there's a snap point for one, there's the other, there's the third, and the fourth should be right there. And now I can come back downstairs and I can get rid of these. And we're still intact up top. I was a little concerned. I thought my whole evil plan was going to go up in smoke here. But fortunately, the non-traditional snap points on these things worked in my favor. There we go. Now we're going to start building the tower. I'm going to make it just a simple lookout with a, well, I don't know, a railing and partial roof. I'll bring you back once I get it all roughed in. Okay, we're pretty close to being done. I'm just putting a few last minute touches on the build here and there. Ozocraft has these really nice little eaves that you can add if you want a little overhang to your roof. All sorts of little additional bits and pieces to give it that little extra bit of polish. And right now, I'm going to put a railing partially around the inside there, and I've got a hatch coming up from below, up through a metal hatchway in the center of the build. Something's bothering me about this build, though. Well, this will help a little bit, these little corner pieces, just to make things look like they are supposed to fit together in a homogeneous sort of way. But I think I may have jumped the gun a little bit here. Let me back off and take a look at things. Oh, well, that's exactly what's bothering me. I didn't really think my placement through very well when I laid those first scaffoldings down. I have a lot more space up front than I really intended to leave. It's just not quite right. I need to fill up at least some of the space at the front of the build. I know how I can do it. It's not exactly what I intended, but actually this may work out better overall. Give me just a second to sort this out. And we are done. I decided instead of the central hatch to go ahead and put a broad set of stairs up the front. It kind of reminds me of some of the towers you see in some of our parks and, well, I don't know, maybe a ranger station. Anyway, it's a lot easier and more convenient way to get up to the top. I also thickened the platform itself by using some half walls, so it looks much more sturdy and robust overall. I think it turned out pretty good. We're going to call this build the Watchtower. Let me know in the comments below what you think of how it turned out. I know it's not overly fancy, but hopefully it will blend well with the surroundings. And really, truly what I'm interested in is what would you do with this space? Well, I'm going to do some decorating. All I've done so far is just put a little tan paint on the outer walls so they blend with the ruins a little better on the outside. But I'm more interested in what you would do with it. Would you turn it into a stable? would you make it your main work area and fill it with equipment? We've already got the community center up on the top of the hill, so that frees this space up for a lot of different things. And with the big double gates on the front, you could walk animals up in here. Really, you can do anything with it that you want. And I'm kind of interested to hear what your take on it would be. Well, it's past time for me to get going. So let me just say thank you very much for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Oh, and if you want to be notified when the new episode comes out, click that little bell icon also. It's not 100% perfect. YouTube's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it does help, and I appreciate it. Until I see you guys again, take care.